Hey guys. Hello. Hello. Little early again today. And I don't know how loud this is, sorry. You guys let me know where the music level is yet again. I'm using a different I'm using VLC music player instead of Windows Media Player, and now the volume's different. And I did it all so I can have this little music notation. There it is. So you can now see what music is playing through the magics of the internet, assuming it's big enough to read. I don't know. I'm gonna need y'all to give me feedbacks on all of this. Hey, so I got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Damon Ross says, "Allo Poppets." Oh, that reminds me. Okay, next time I'm going to figure out how to get the live chat to show up. I'll probably rearrange my little workspace thingy to accommodate that, my little frame. Anyways, yeah, continually learning and upgrading and such. Damon, how can you hear me versus the music? Can you hear the music at all? And can you hear me over it? I would like to know these things. Because the music is actually really loud in my ear. Sheridan, hello, welcome. Dottie, hello, smiley, smiley. Hey, so I'm going to do a quick little thing to start us out, because I, just a couple minutes ago, got a YouTube comment that said it was from Miss Telly, and she asks any suggestions for African curly hair. Damon says, "I cannot hear the music. I can hear you just fine." Sheridan can't hear the music. Okay. I wonder if that means that the volume that I have set in VLC player coming to my earphones is completely separate from what OBS is picking up. Sounds like it. Okay, I'm going to put it somewhere stupidly high, and you guys tell me, because according to this it looks like it's like over the green line of my voice. Let me know if that's the case. Okay, so African curly hair. I've experimented with this a little bit before. Actually, let me look up my friend Mark's work. What is his stuff called? He did this series of sculptures. Hi, Amy. He did this series of sculptures that were in like Hallmark stores and stuff like that, and it was all like African characters. Oh, I just look up his name. So he's Mark Newman. African sculptures. Okay, now I've got to go to my display. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So this is some of the stuff that Mark has done to get his African curly hair, and seems pretty effective to me. I could show you how I would go about doing that, just so I can refer her to this video. Ah, look at this. Actually shows very specifically. Yeah, that's funny. I was gonna use this tool that I made, and it's pretty much exactly that. Okay. Let's turn that off. Back to this. Yeah, so I made this guy. Just by gluing these metal rods in this other metal rod. I was gonna do some other stuff with this today too, and then I have like this little pokey guy. I got this. I got this. So I'm just gonna show you how we go about doing it, and hopefully that helps you out. I forgot your name. Anyway, let's do that. Let's do that now, shall we? Sorry, I'm just completely confused now by all these windows that are popping up and down. Okay, here we go. Dottie says, I hear the music now, $sign. Damon says, nope, still nothing. Oh, there is music, super duper quiet though. Dottie says, I hear the music now. Sidon says, pokey guy, doll. JJ says, make the music just a little bit louder. Sure thing. Alright. I'll show you the one character that I did with this kind of hair. He's up here. See if I can get my camera up to him. Yeah, so that's the closest that I've ever come, I think, to really trying that kind of style of hair. But I'll give it my best go right now real quick. This is the closest I have to brown clay right now. It's this copper. I think if I have a little head I can put it on. Oh, I do have a little head I could put it on. No, I don't want to ruin one of those yet. Okay, we'll say this is our character's head, and this is the hair. Damon is going to be back in a few. Okay. I will wait with bated breath. Let's see, I think I'll do a nice fade on him so I can show a range from a really short African curly hair to a little longer. I'm not gonna go quite kid and play levels, but something like that. You all remember Kid and Play, the hit comedy / music duo from the mid to early 90s. I'm sure you all remember. Okay. So basically, it's just a lot of jabbing. So you can start by, let's get really close here. Oh, got my light. Alright. So you start with a really rough jab, 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 jab. And I think actually for the shorter parts, like if you're working where the hair is really close to the skin, you're going to be more delicate with it. And as it gets thicker and further from the scalp, push away or dig deeper. And you could use, I mean, almost anything. I've got this kind of tool here, just makes a, you know, a thinner divot. I've got this, which I was using to punch hair into the Colossus, and it's just a sewing needle that I snapped the little loop off the end, but that would also work. I'm sure knitting needles would work great for this. Let's see what this little eyebrow styler comb does for us. And then as well, this, again, this tool that I made, it's just a bunch of wires. Actually, this reminds me when I was trying to comb my brother's hair, who's of African descent. When he was little, we used to call him Fuzz because his hair got like so crazy froey when he was a baby and a toddler. But when I would use a pick on his hair, and it was very, very similar to this sculpting method right here. But yeah, and then you can, like, after you have that base kind of texture in, then you can kind of go in and pull little areas that are to make it a little more irregular, because you don't want it to be like a perfectly uniform mat of texture. There's always noise in the system of nature, the way natural things grow and mat and stick together and cling, and you know, different amounts of scalp oils in different parts of the head. There's a million factors that always make hair and fur and all this kind of stuff really irregular. I'm going to try some of this super fine texture on top of it. This, I think this is an eye brush. I'm not sure what this is. I got it to style Colossus fur. I was at a beauty supply place trying to find a razor for cutting hair so I could style the Colossus hair. Yeah, I think this is definitely getting a pretty good look there. Let's see how close we can get. So anywhere where you see, so you can kind of see a highlight here, right? The white highlight, and it travels down. So that kind of ruins the illusion. So that's where you want to go in and like break up wherever you see lines of highlight that are like squiggling around. Damon says, looks like lava rock. Pretty good. Yeah, let me bring up Mark's work again real quick. Sorry, I'm still not good at this. I'm going to get really confused for a little bit. Alright, so let's see. You guys are seeing that, right? Yes. Yes, you are. Okay. Yeah, so he's getting some really good depth in there, which I don't think I've quite achieved with this yet. So let me try some more stuff. It might be like a directional thing if you like push directionally. I'm starting to kind of tear bits of it up as I do this, but as long as they're still sticking to the clay around them, it's adding a pretty nice, you can see there against the light of my finger there, it's adding a really nice profile silhouette to the hair. I actually think this is, yeah, it's a little bit laborious, but honestly, it's certainly not harder than doing, you know, flowing hair. And I think I would go in and kind of tamp it down with the fine brush the closer it gets to the scalp. Yeah, I think I would be happy to put that on a sculpture of an African character. So there you go. I will link you to this video from the comment on the other video that you commented on. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program, which is finding new and exciting ways to mess up my my wizard sculpture. Amy says, beauty supplies and art supplies are often quite similar, it seems. Yep. Used a lot, both in back and forth. Sidon says, pointy thing with ball on the end would be better, wouldn't it? Maybe. I probably have one. I would have to go digging for it, but I mean, I like what I achieved with what I had. So, Damon says, wouldn't it be better to have the various gauge in your metal tool instead of all the same? Does this have various gauge? I feel like I thought about that at some point, but no, this one does not have a variety of gauges. I know I made a couple of these, and this is not the only one, but I could not find the other ones. I will bet you that the other ones do have more of a variety, specifically because I was going to be trying this technique. Actually, let's go ahead and try it right now, since I'm going to be tearing all of this skin off and redoing it anyway. There's this thing that I saw someone on Facebook, on one of the sculpting forums I'm on, was showing this technique where he was, after a sculpture was baked, he was actually carving in these really cool supernatural looking wrinkly folds, and this is essentially how he did it. Just experimenting. I think there's too many tines on this guy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna cut several of these off. It's weird to me because ow. Wow. I actually drew blood from cutting that from cutting that wire, and it flew off and stabbed me hard enough to cut me. That's weird. Amy says, as long as you keep track of data, messing around is considered experimenting. Yep. A lot of times I assume I'll remember, and you know what? That is usually does not bear out. This is stainless steel rod here, so it's extremely strong. Which I figured in order to abrade the surface of baked Sculpey, it would need to be pretty tough. Ow! And it shoots off like a bullet when you cut it. This is what I use to make space maintainers and retainers when I had a little dental lab back in the day. So I still have a lot of these stainless steel wires left over. This is not the best test since there's already wrinkles and folds on this, but I figure if I just keep digging away at it, it'll wear away what was there before. And then the final texture is also obscured because it's abraded, so it's got all this white. So I'm not sure. I mean, you can definitely see the shadows though, those wrinkles, which is interesting. Let's. Where is? Oh, here they are. So for my next tutorial that I'm doing on different polymer clays, I made all of these guys out of 5 different brands or types of polymer clay that can be used for like dolls and stuff like that. And I was going to try this experiment on these. So let's see, this is Sculpey Living Doll. So starting with a very smooth flat surface. Man, this is tough stuff. This is way tougher than the regular Sculpey I was carving through. It's almost like sanding it with super low grit paper.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Steve. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, I think I need to find my other little wire guys, or else make some new ones. This is not working so well. The whole idea of adding your skin texture afterwards is kind of weird and foreign to me, because I mean, when you do it before, you can smooth it out with alcohol, and that really is helpful for getting a nice smooth texture. But I could not argue with the results that this guy had posted. Like, it was amazing. So I really want to figure out how he did it so it can be another tool in my toolbox. I'm gonna try, let's see, is this water? This is either water or alcohol. Alcohol. Okay, let's see what happens when I hit it with alcohol afterwards. That's interesting. That does get rid of the white abraded surface, so you can make out the actual texture that's going on there better. I mean, so it's a cool texture, but it's not something I wouldn't, well, I don't know that I would actually gouge it that deep in areas like that. But and then not having the control over where those lines are landing is also bothersome to me. So, but man, yeah, actually that looks really good right there. So you can see it compared to what I put in with my own tool and smoothing before, and this, and especially that little area where you're getting some of that diamond cross folds going on. Looks really good. Amy, you actually heard Heather from the from the kitchen? That's a good mic. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to this. I promised you guys tiny chains and Mucky Muck, so I'm gonna do tiny chains and Mucky Muck now. It also occurred to me that I want this part to be metal, because this is supposed to be like a cast iron thing. Although I guess if the hand is black iron, it would make sense for this part to be black iron too. I think I'm going to end up painting this just like some kind of wood and brown, just to see how that looks, because it already has the texture of wood. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do was, I realized I did the brass the old brass or old bronze or whatever, but I never went over it again to highlight it with gold. So I'm going to do that now real quick. Damon said, yeah, I heard her too. The gouges look good, but too deep, like some really dehydrated, super old, gnarly person skin. Yeah, so the example that guy posted was an alien. And so, you know, there's obviously your expectations of what alien skin looks like is going to be different than specific parts of skin on people. Okay, little brush. There we go. Damon says, well, a real joust rod would be crazy heavy if it was metal. It makes sense to be wood. Yes. This is a pretty fanciful jouster, so he could certainly use magic to wield a heavier joust rod. But it's also one of those things where subconsciously, I think, a person will buy into the fantasy more if there's a little bit of grounding to it. Either that or you kind of have to explain why it is that he's capable of doing all these crazy things. Which I don't know, maybe the fact that he's clearly a wizard explains it enough. Not sure. Okay, always start on the back. I just remind myself over and over. I'm just hitting the top edges and just kind of feathering it down to give it a natural variation from the highlighted top ridge to the more bronzy, darker bottom. Very gently kissing the tops of these ab plates. You guys think the staining on his robe is a little too subtle? Certainly, it's too shiny. I ran out of my matte sealer, my miniatures matte sealant, and I just used some What did I use? I used matte sealer for like charcoal drawings, and I'm not happy with the apparent matteness, because that sure does look semi-glossy to me. Amy says, looked it up. Usually the wood with a tip made of iron or steel. Yeah. I don't know if this part was always made of wood, or if it was just the... It was probably a whole thing, and then the area protecting the hand was probably metal, and then the tip was probably metal, would be my guess. But they certainly needed a significant counterweight. So I imagine the counterweight may have been metal. Hey.
I'm gonna go to Ant's.
Okay.
I'll wash my hair tomorrow.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
Do you?
I do.
More than yesterday?
0.1% more than yesterday.
Okay, well that's good. Trending.
All right.
Alright.
Bye. If your love for your spouse doesn't grow a little bit every day, you know, you're stagnating, and that would be horrible. But if it grows too fast, I mean, that's just ridiculous. You got to manage that power curve. Why is a track on my computer skipping? It is not a CD anymore. The whole point of moving this to computer was so I would not have skipping CDs. You guys. Oh. Apparently I need an even finer brush. Damon says it skipped when you ripped it. Is that a thing that could actually happen? Like, usually when I try to rip discs that have scratches on them, it would just like error and say can't, you know, it can't rip it. But I suppose that's up to the elegance of the programming to be able to detect how much is too much scratching. How's that music level, by the way, guys? Is it approximately half of the volume of my voice, or more or less? David says, back when I converted mine, I had a couple songs that no matter how many times I redid it, it would always skip. Appropriately so. They were pretty dinged up. So I had to torrent them. Ah. I'm too afraid to pirate anything. I just know I will be the guy who ends up with a virus. And especially since I work at a company that's always under threat of attack, I have to be extra super careful. Damon says, music is good. The text could be about half again bigger. It's hard to read? Okay. And Dottie says the level is good. Yeah, this looks really good. I think it's hard for the camera to pick it up, but the reflective difference of the gold and the brass is just enough where the gold is adding really nice little highlights. Yeah, it's camera's not seeing that. Take my word for it. It's awesome. Okay, so speaking of awesome, on the way home I stopped by Michael's, got some more better stuffs for the chains. Let's look at those, shall we? Okay, I got a big old set of cheapo things, pliers. That's what these are. Amy says, on mobile, I didn't notice it till Damon mentioned it. Yeah, there's mobile, huh? That resolution's gonna be pretty small. Keep forgetting that 60% of people watch YouTube on mobile, because I literally never do that. And why isn't everyone in the world exactly like me? What is wrong with the world? Amy says, Michael's is the store where I can't go in without getting anything. Yeah, it's pretty hard to not get something in there. Oh, what a dumb way to package your thing. Thank you. Thank you for making this as hard as possible. I have no idea what you would use these for. Plucking nose hairs? Quiet Storms 76. Hello. Were you born in 1976? I was born in 75, so that'd make us pretty close. Okay, what's the other thing I got? Oh, these, thems. So these should match the chain that I picked out pretty closely. Yeah. you guys weren't here yesterday, I was just showing that my plan is to chain this guy into place. So he's got these little belt loops on his belt, 4 of them, and each of them goes to a matching loop on his chariot so that he can't be flung out on accident. Which also reminds me, I wanted to add some dust inside the floor of this before I started attaching them down. Let me grab that real quick. That's not what I want. I had... Oh, where did I put it? Anti-shine. I'm gonna try that. Don't you love it when you're digging through your paints and you discover stuff that you got a long time ago that you totally forgot you had? It's so frustrating. See, I had stuff just like this, weathering powder, but it was like a dusty yellow brown. I think I put it with, I have a bunch of like diorama stuff, and I think I put them all in there. I think these are not the color that I want. These rusts, no, these rusts are not what I want. Okay. One moment. Quiet Storm says, yes sir, we are the 70s babies. Bob Ross baby. David says, everyone knows 80s babies are the best. Yes, 1980 is the best year for babies because I married one of those. Quiet Storm says, I grew up in the 80s, so me too. Yep. Like, that's one of the things I love about Stranger Things is like I was exactly the age of the kids during that period of time. Well, I guess I was close. So I was born in 75, that took place in 83 and 84. Okay, so I was like maybe 2 years younger than them, but still, pretty much exactly the same. Damon says, I'm an Ash baby. I was born almost exactly 9 months after the Mount St. Helens went ba-boom. Nice. Quiet says, I remember watching that on TV. Damon says, I grew up in Washington. My parents said the ash was so thick it was like snowing. Yep, I have a bunch of family who live in the Longview, Kelso area, so they were hit really, really bad. Okay, I'll be right back. Check out all of my rad diorama stuff. Got these cool little ivy leaves. Not what I need. This is about the color of that stuff that I wanted to use. I think this is all ground covering stuff. Ah, this is what I was thinking of. Okay. So, okay, this is texture. This is the same thing. Slightly different texture. Bits of war. Alright. Lots of stuff to play with now. Linda says, anyone from the 1940s? Well, my dad was 55, I think. He was born in 1955. Which means my grandparents were before that. They were in the 20s and 30s. JD, hello, welcome. Alright, I gotta figure this stuff out. I've never actually used this powders because you have to like put them in some kind of solution, and all these solutions always have stupid different names in different countries. So if I'm reading something that's from England, it's gonna say different words than the proper American words. Let's see if these actually say on them. Amy says, I remain the youngest. Dottie says, I was born in 63. Okay, you can use Colmeric weathering powders to create. I could just do that with my camera. It makes me so happy. So happy, you guys don't even know. Weathering powders to create very realistic weathering on your models. Excellent for tanks and vehicles. Can also be used on infantry models. Blah, 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 blah. Just tell me what to do. Mix with water, mediums, varnishes, white spirit, or liquid acrylic resin. All Colmeric weathering powders are made from natural, non-toxic, blah, blah, blah. Wow, okay, well that's very versatile. So I believe that white spirits is the same thing as mineral spirits. So that's something I can use. I obviously I have water. I don't know what acrylic resin is. Varnish. See, I'm super scared that whatever I put in it, it's gonna make it shiny. I'm so tired of shiny things. I have this enamel thinner. Is enamel something it said? No, it said varnish. Okay, I'm not going to try enamel. I'll go ahead and try the mineral spirit thing first, just cause. Quiet Storm says art has no age. Love it. Acetone. What is acetone? What about acetone? Okay, I'm going to use some of this guy. And I'm going to put them a little bit on here. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, dip it in the mineral spirits. Dab, dab, dab. I'm too old to know where dabbing came from, for the record. I'm just at the age where I see a trend and I know enough to see that like young people are doing it and enjoying the fact that old people don't know what they're doing. And so I'm young enough to see that, and I'm old enough to just not care enough to actually research it and figure out where it came from. Okay, so this is pretty much what I wanted, was just a cake on dust and mud. Like it's been kicked up and stuck in the where dust and mud tends to get caught, which is wherever there's a what is that called? The opposite of a raised area. Certainly cracks, but wherever two surfaces join together. There's got to be a word for that that I just can't think of. I'll bet Amy knows. It's probably on the SATs. Damon says, I would paint miniatures with actual muddy water and then just seal them. Huh. Yeah, I mean, mud is, you know, bits of organic matter which act as a pigment, and they're in suspension, which is water. And then when the water evaporates, it's going to leave the bits of organic matter as a pigment. So, makes sense to me. Quiet Storm says, is that Tester's bottle acetone? This Tester's is enamel thinner. I don't know if that's different than acetone or not. Quiet says, us old young people stay in our lane, huh, Josh? Lol. There comes a time in your life when, I guess, the value that you perceive of like knowing what the kids know these days or keeping up with the kids doesn't outweigh the other things you want to accomplish in life. So you let things slide. Amy says, I don't know where it came from either, but I do know it's a meme that should have died months ago, but it's still being used, ironically mostly. Amy said, I was too busy answering your dabbing question to pay attention to what you said, sorry. Quiet said, I like being old enough to remember what it's like before computers and cell phones. Yeah. I'm at that awful age for my kid because, I mean, he just recently turned 18, but until that point, I never let him on the computer without adult supervision. He didn't have a cell phone. He was the only kid in his school without a cell phone and without unfettered internet access. Poor kid. So many of the other parents are just so oblivious to what actually goes on the internet. So, yeah, I'm at that, like, I'm young enough to know that stuff, where most of the parents of kids his age are a decade older than me. And they seem to, maybe they just don't care, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't bother them that kids are being exposed to hardcore fetish pornography when they're 9. But it just doesn't seem healthy to me. So I'm guessing this is where it dried already, and it's much lighter than I anticipated. But, well, I shouldn't be surprised, should I? Look how light it is. So once the transportation vehicle, I can't remember what the name for that is, evaporates, it's going to leave that super light coat. So I probably don't want to stick only with this stuff. I'm going to see what happens when I mix some of this darker stuff. Or should I try this? I should try this since I have so much of it. It's a slightly darker one. I'm not sure if this is the same thing, if this is a powder, or if this is just clumpy paint. It looks like it's just clumpy paint. Okay, not as excited about that. I'm gonna go back to this powder. Amy says, horrible things like art streams happen on the internet. That's right. I do not want my kids exposed to art streams. Especially by freaks who look like me. Okay. Oh, Amy, the thing you missed is I said you probably know what it is called when two surfaces converge, that area of convergence. So you have like this, right? So where my hands are touching, what is that area called? I'm saying that's where dust and dirt accumulates when it's been kicked up, and then just the high areas are rubbed down through natural processes, whether it's wind or rain or getting touched or whatever. And then it leaves the dust and dirt and muck in those little converging areas that I cannot think of the name of. I think if I cake it on like that and then take a brush that's got the mineral spirits and go over the top to wipe the top down, I think that'll get me the effect I'm going for. JD says crevices. Amy says an edge, concavity. It is definitely a concavity, but I swear there's a word specifically for that little, you know, this line that is right in there. What is that line where those two faces meet called? This is very rust colored. This is gonna end up looking like rust, which, I don't know, that's fine. It can look like rust. Although that does remind me, I also want to pick up some of the highlights of this kind of spider webby looking texture down here. Let me do that real quick before I add the dirt. Instead of using the other silver, because it was getting a little too sparkly, I'm just going to use this super cheap bargain barrel acrylic silver. Got too much goo and not enough pigment in that drop. Ah, that should be enough. Dozer, hello. Another live stream, awesome. Also, hello, and what's the paint you're using? Right now I'm using super cheap, crappy silver acrylic paint just for the floor of this thing, because the floor is mostly going to be coated in dirt. Dottie says nooks and crannies. Yeah, that is not the official math term for when faces converge, but it does get the point across. Damon says fissure. Amy says vertex. Damon says corner. So vertice, a vertex is a point at which two lines converge, but not two edges. This is not getting me the look I wanted at all. I take comfort in the fact this will just be covered with muck. Amy says solvent is the liquid that evaporates. You were looking for the word earlier. So there's pigment and there's solvent. What is, okay, so what is a medium? I thought the medium was what carried the pigment. Is the medium what the pigment and the solvent together is? I knew this at some point. I went to art school and took art classes. Just didn't see much of a reason in remembering things, I guess. Alright, that'll be fine. Quiet Storm says, do you play any instruments? I dink around with piano and guitar on occasion. You know, I know some chords. That is the extent of my musicking. And I write a lot of little riffs that someday I want to sit down. When I have the money, I'm just going to pay a real artist to sit down with me and develop into actual like songs and stuff, but that is a long way in the future. Very low on the priority list. Add some of this gunk to his robes. Just tap it on there. Damon says, congregation, confluence, accumulation, and now I give up. Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible there isn't a word for it, but I would find that really hard to believe given how like important it is in geometry and math and like 3D graphics and stuff like that. So this stuff's a little deceptive because how it goes on darker and then lightens up so much. I need to take my time with it. Oh, and that reminds me, I need to try this anti-shine stuff on this guy and see how that works. No directions except to shake it. Amy says, medium is defined as a liquid, e.g. oil or water, with which pigments are mixed to make paint. Okay, so a medium is the same thing as a, shoot, what did you call it earlier? A vertex? Is it the same thing as a vertex? That's the word I see that you posted up there. I know that's not what you actually said. Mord, hello Mord, says I played clarinet back in high school. Amy says she played clarinet in elementary school. Oh, you guys should start a band. Dozer said, is this going to be attached to the hand you've sculpted with the wizard? Yep. I'm going to be working on that very shortly, because I am almost done with this. Amy said solvent. I think solvent is more broad. It's a chemistry term. Medium is more specifically for paint, I think. Okay, that sounds right. Solvent is anything that's used to dissolve another thing. In paints, the medium would be the solvent. Okay, so solvents is the larger category. Medium is a subcategory with applications in art in related fields, I would guess. Brush most of this off of the highlights. Amy says like squares and rectangles. As in a square is a one type of a rectangle. The nice thing about bringing all this organic mud and dust up into this design is that it will help to marry the wooden jousty McDeely pole to the rest of the piece, I think. White Storm says, have a good night all. Thanks for your time. Josh, it looks cool. Cool. Hope to catch you next time. Dottie says, OMG, my daughter, who is in the army, just surprised me and walked through my door. I'm crying. I haven't seen her in a year. Oh, that's fantastic. Hopefully you're not here still listening to this to hear me say that, but congratulations. I imagine you're going to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I almost joined the Air Force when I was just about to graduate high school, and my soon-to-be father-in-law was demanding what I would do to support his daughter. And I was like, I don't know, join the Air Force? My dad's in the Air Force, you're in the Air Force. I might as well go be miserable for the rest of my life, why not? Fortunately, I discovered there were other possibilities for my life before I signed on the dotted line. Do not think that would have been a good fit. Oh wow, look at that muck. That's that is too bright. See what happens if I remove a certain amount of it. But I'm assuming that just brushing or thinning it back with uncut mineral spirits will remove quite a bit of it. Alright, I think it's time to get down to chains. Damon says maybe he's been walking through that gold field in ore. That would definitely get a lot of buildup on your long robes, that's for sure. Alright, let's try all my fancy new tools. Here we go. So I'm going to try these smaller ones first, just because, obviously, for scale's sake, the smaller the better. If they don't work, I'll graduate to these massive ones. So, I think the theory, if I understood the pictures I was seeing on the box, I'm going to use 2 sets of needle nose pliers to just pry this gently apart. Okay, so far so good. Let's find get a little bit of chain. Now I'm trying to think which is trickier. Is it going to be harder to attach to his belt or to the chariot? It's going to be hard either way to get it through once there are multiple ones of them on there. Oh, okay. One other thing I almost forgot yet again. I need to put the little red jewels on his controller gauntlet. Okay, so I've got this super concentrated dye. And I think this will be a good applicator. Getting an equal amount when you're using just a little bit is always a bit tricky.
Dad, where do we keep the vegetable oil?
No idea. Okay. Come on, focus. Do your job. There we go. Amy says, I need to go. See you guys later. Thanks for streaming, Josh. You're welcome, Amy. Damon says, in the vegetable oil spot, obviously. Oh, yeah, I forgot about our vegetable oil spot. That's in the vegetable oil wing of our estate. It's pretty. All right. So now that that is accomplished, get back to Mr. Chain. So I think I'm going to attach 4 chains to his belt to start with. Oh, which reminds me, I had this thought last night. It's like, if he's got all these cool chains, why not actually make it part of his costume, right? Like if he had this cool chain going from one to the other. I don't know if it detracts too much from all the other detail going on. I guess another thought is to have it like hanging. I could do this. That's kind of cool. I wonder if I'm getting powder all over me. Ooh, that could actually be really useful. If I dangle the chain a little bit, like so, and it's going through the loop, then I have a little bit of play when I'm trying to attach it to the chariot. And I do like play. Fat says, I like it by the belt. Yeah. Agreed. So I think I can go ahead and just cut off a decent chunk. Now the trick, and this will be a trick, it's going to be to have it thread through here, and then I have to somehow, through a crazy game of operation, close this guy around that chain. Without ruining stuff or breaking things. I'm confident I can get it closed. I'm not confident I can do it without ruining and breaking everything. Maybe I can just push it against the sculpture. Let's give that a try first. Very gently. Oh, yeah, did it. Nice. Okay. thought for sure I'd be able to open it just by pushing it down this thing. That is not happening. I'm going to loop this without doing the thing and making it slide out again. Oh my god, this is stressful. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay. So close. At least I got good chill music to do it to. Also, the good thing is that this is not an actual piece of jewelry that will be worn, so it's not like it's going to get jostled all over the place. It doesn't have to be super strong on there. Yeah. You can do the same thing on the back. Dozer said it's like fine surgery. Yeah, I was just thinking it's like, what's that? Oh, Operation. The game of Operation. You ever played that? Or like if your tweezers touch the side, it goes. Okay. Nothing to get you nice and warm, like stressing out with a teeny tiny little thing you're afraid is going to break your sculpture. Best song ever. Ah. Meh. Oh, come on. Cannot get a whole ring through there. I can only get a half a chain link through there. You're gonna need to open it wider. Oh, nope, nope. Okay, it's all the way through. Now. No! Oh, so close. This has got to be the best live stream ever. Watching someone fumble with a teeny tiny little thing, failing over and over. I guess it's not much different than watching like a playthrough of Super Adventure Box Tribulation Mode. Oh. Do it? Do it? That's close enough. Okay. Phew. Those little holes are conspicuously lacking dust. Alright, alright. I think he's dry enough to try some of this matte varnish real quick. Ideally, this would have gone before the chains, but we'll make do. Yeah, hopefully when it dries, it will become matte. looking down there, I guess it's like maybe 10% less shiny. Still doesn't look like cloth to me, but the quest continues. If any of you guys know how to make really matte, finished cloth looking cloth on your miniatures, let me know. I think there's too much buildup in there now that I see how super bright it is. I'm gonna dilute some more of that back. Let's kind of swab the deck. Oh, sorry, buddy. I wonder, since when I put that mineral spirits on there, it's resuspending the particles. So I imagine if I'm dab there, I'm removing a lot of the pigment, all the pigment that's been resuspended in the medium. I think that'll get me closer to what I'm hoping to achieve, which is just kind of a lot of buildup there where it would, like in between those blades, where it would, you know, you'd have to get in there with a little toilet brush to scrub to really get that clean. So alright. Now, let's see. Oh no! Oh, the chains escaped. That's okay, it was really fun watching me get those in place. Remember how fun that was? And if I can just deftly weave it back in with this tool. Haha, haha. How in the world did that get out? There's... Oh! I bet it just slid out that way. Which means I should be able to slide it back in. Yes! Woo! That's exciting. Okay. Now we're back in business. Okay. Well, let's see how hard it is to use these little guys again. I think it's going to be harder to do the ones in front, so I should start with those. Because I don't have access from that direction. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. Oh, wait, I have... little, tweezers. That's what these are called. That will help with the initial placement, at least, I think. Maybe I don't need to open them so wide. Okay, I'm gonna try opening them just enough where I can kind of like force them on, hopefully without breaking the sculpture. Yeah, that way at least it shouldn't just like casually fall off. You know what? Actually, just occurred to me, if I just break these guys off and I can glue the thicker ones on in their place, so I can get them attached to here first. Where did my other ones go? Here. Damon says, instead of pulling the rings straight apart, do like a key ring. It will be easier to close them and they won't fly off. Like, yeah, if they're like spiraled and overlapping like that though, I think that getting them on and off other things will probably snap these guys, because this is not the strongest material. Actually, even easier than that, I will just try using this big one. Yeah, being big enough to actually just pinch with my fingers is definitely a huge improvement. I'm not really excited about the size of this thing. It'll probably help if I super glue the where it's separated on the inside of the loop. Boy, moving that though, that's gonna be challenging. And for some reason, my boy, I can't remember the name of these tweezers seem to be magnetized. That is not helpful in this particular application. Okay, so can I glue that in place? First of all, can I close it tighter? Oh, right, I should try my wire bender guys. Where are they? Might actually fit in here. Okay, now I need a way to get one drop of super glue. And my super glue disappeared, as always. Let's see if this super old super glue is functional. Is indeed still some liquid in there. Okay. Alrighty. Getting dangerously close to the point where I'm going to have to just put everything down and search for one of the 18 bottles of super glue that are nowhere to be found right now. JD says if the loop is too big, you can maybe cut some of it off and reclose it. Hey, that is a really good idea. JD says it's amazing how I always manage to get super glue on my hands whenever I use it, no matter how careful I am. Yeah, it is a magical substance that always does that. David says, I feel like my 1 year in the SCA would be super helpful if I was there. I don't know what the SCA is. Everything on my table is suddenly magnetized. I have no idea how that happened. All right. So delightfully gummy, super old super glue. See how well it works. Oh, I accidentally touched my sculpture, of course. Damon says, Society for Creative Anachronism. That's right. Now I remember what that stands for. Ren Fair kind of stuff, yes. Some of my favorite new YouTube channels are Lindy Beige and who's that other guy? But they're basically, they just get on there and try to debunk like myths and TV and movie tropes about medieval stuff. It's pretty cool. Needs to be right. What's the front? This is the front spike. Right. Okay. Okay. Digging it. Okay. So we're halfway there. This guy managed to slide out again. That's okay, I know how to fix it this time. I think. I was able to fix it when I could hold him and move him around. Can I fix it when I can't move him anymore because he's chained down? That's the question. Okay, tweezers. Oh my god, why are you magnetized? I guess it has to be because this was hanging on a magnet strip, but I didn't know that magnet strips could transfer magnetism to the metal objects stuck to them. Is that a thing? I've not heard of that thing. I thought this would be such a great live stream thing to do, and it turns out to be the absolute worst. I apologize, guys. It's too late. We're doing it live. We're doing it. No. Oh my gosh, did I just pull it out of the other loop? Oh okay, you know what? I'm just gonna attach this guy right now because there's a chance it'll just bump the other one out. JD says, I almost wonder if you should glue him down to the base now while it's easier to do. So there's a hole coming up through the base that there's a nail and it sticks through a hole in the bottom of him. So I think I still want the amount of wiggle, slight wiggle that I have available for this chain process. You could be right though, I don't know. JD says, it's really looking good so far. Keeps getting better. Good work. Thank you. Damon says, you can magnetize the tweezers more if you stroke them with a magnet. Yeah, but I haven't done that. I don't want them to be magnetized. Dozer says, loop a string on it and feed that through. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I would have to tie a little knot. Well, I guess I wouldn't have to tie a knot. I could use the two ends of the thread. Alright, I will keep that in mind if it comes to that. There, pinch it closed. Yes. Okay, so that part is easy. It's the rest of the parts that are being a butt. Okay, let's see how easy it is to grab a piece of thread. So, transparent thread may not have been the best choice. That's the first thing I grabbed. So now the trick is to get this thread through this. But since that has a tiny little gap in it, I think the thread's just gonna fall through that gap. Guess I can get thicker thread if this doesn't work. Yeah, it's not working. Okay. Thicker thread coming up. There we go. Brilliant idea, Dozer. Last one. Oh, we're almost there. There. Okay. I need real super glue. This is getting ridiculous. Sorry, this will be a moment. Alright. Not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. This is odd. That was quite a blockage. Use this activator. I don't think it ruins the paint underneath. At least I hope it doesn't. Given how grimy and everything, I want this to look. Having weird discolored spatters is obviously not a problem. I think this chain is bothering me how long it is. And now that I know how relatively easy it is to get that final clasp on, I feel no compunction about redoing this part real quick. Yeah, that gummy, old gummy super glue, not doing a good job. Alrighty. So close to done. Where's my stick? Well, yeah, I'm really not liking this stick being black at all. Looks like he's chained into his spot pretty well. That's cool. Yeah, let's make this wood real quick. Oh, yeah, got this already. Wow, my work area is just a tad bit cluttered right now. Did you notice that? Is this the dry brush? Yes. Dry brush and brush. I don't know why this is covering so poorly. I'll do a coat of slightly darker first. Fat agrees that my workspace is a tad messy. JD says, might be cool if the spear was enruned. Might be hard to do with it being so thin. Or lance. Jousting pole. Yeah, runes probably would be cool on it. But, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go that crazy. This is not as fully upgraded jousting pole. This is like a level 1 jousting pole he got from his first win. I do think it would be cool to do some kind of like a stripe going around it, almost like a candy cane, but I'm afraid it's going to be too evocative of a candy cane. Undecided about that. Is it called a lance? Is a jousting pole just a lance, or is a lance something different? I should really know this. Let's see. Let's get Mr. Hand. Oh no. Oh, here it is. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. I totally forgot that I need to pick up my friend from the carpool. Bus stop. I gotta cut this off, guys. Sorry, gotta run, and I'll see you guys this weekend. Whoopsie whoops. Sorry, Vince. Sorry. Bye, guys.